In the vast expanse of the North Atlantic, where the sea meets the sky in an endless dance of blue and gray, there stands a solitary sentinel. The Blackrock Lighthouse, perched atop a craggy island barely large enough to support its weathered stone walls, has guarded these treacherous waters for over a century. But for Ethan Blackwood, its current keeper, the lighthouse guards far more than just passing ships. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Ethan begins his nightly ritual. His calloused hands, scarred from years of maintaining the ancient mechanisms, move with practiced precision as he climbs the spiral staircase to the lantern room. Each step creaks beneath his feet, a familiar symphony that echoes through the empty tower. Another night, another light, Ethan mutters to himself, his voice rough from disuse. It's been months since he's spoken to another soul, save for the occasional radio check with the mainland. But tonight, as he reaches the top of the tower, something feels different. The air is thick with an electricity that has nothing to do with the storm brewing on the horizon. Ethan's skin prickles, the hair on the back of his neck standing on end. He pauses, one hand on the door to the lantern room, and listens. Nothing but the howl of the wind and the crash of waves against the rocks below. Yet, there's a presence here, something he can't quite explain. It's as if the very air is watching him, waiting with bated breath for him to complete his task. Shaking off the unsettling feeling, Ethan pushes open the door and steps into the lantern room. The massive Fresnel lens dominates the circular space, its intricate array of prisms ready to amplify the light and send it streaking across the dark waters. But as Ethan moves to light the lamp, his hand freezes midair. The lens is humming. A low, almost imperceptible vibration thrums through the glass, growing stronger with each passing second. Ethan's heart races as he watches, transfixed, as tiny motes of light begin to swirl within the lens, like fireflies caught in a jar. "What in God's name?" he whispers, his voice trembling. The lights coalesce, forming patterns that spark something deep in Ethan's memory. Symbols, ancient and unknowable, yet achingly familiar. They remind him of the strange markings he'd once found etched into the lighthouse's foundation, dismissed by others as the fanciful carvings of bored keepers past. But Ethan knows better. He's seen these symbols before, in the feverish sketches that filled Lydia's journals in the weeks before she... No, he can't think about Lydia now. The pain of her loss, even after 5 years, is still too raw, too consuming. With a shaking hand, Ethan reaches out to touch the lens. The moment his fingers make contact, a jolt of energy surges through him, and the world explodes into light. Images flood his mind, vast alien landscapes, creatures of impossible geometry drifting through inky black depths, a city of non-Euclidean architecture rising from the sea floor. And through it all, a sense of longing, of homesickness so profound it brings tears to Ethan's eyes. He staggers back, gasping for air, as the vision fades. The lens returns to normal, the strange symbols vanishing as if they'd never been there at all. But Ethan knows what he saw, what he felt. The light, he murmurs, his mind reeling. It's not just for ships. It's a beacon for something else. As if in response to his words, a low moan echoes across the water, so deep it rattles the windows of the lantern room. Ethan rushes to the railing, peering out into the gathering darkness. There, just beyond the breakers, he sees it, a massive shape, moving beneath the waves. Something that defies description, its form shifting and writhing in ways that make Ethan's eyes water just to look at it. And it's coming closer. Panic grips him. Every instinct screams at him to run, to hide, to radio for help. But as he turns to flee, his gaze falls upon the small framed photo he keeps in the lantern room. Lydia smiles back at him, her eyes twinkling with the secret knowledge she always seemed to possess. And suddenly, Ethan understands. The symbols in her journal, her obsession with the local legends, her insistence on swimming alone in these dangerous waters. Lydia had known. With trembling fingers, Ethan lights the lamp. The Fresnel lens springs to life, sending out its powerful beam across the churning sea. But now he sees it for what it truly is. Not a warning, but an invitation. As the light sweeps across the water, the massive shape beneath the waves responds. It rises, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Water cascades off its impossible form as it breaches the surface, revealing glimpses of shimmering scales, undulating tentacles, and eyes, so many eyes, filled with an ancient alien intelligence. Ethan grips the railing, his knuckles white, torn between terror and awe. The creature, if such a mundane word can even begin to describe it, hovers just beyond the rocks, its attention fixed solely on the pulsing light of the beacon. And then, impossibly, it speaks. Not with words, but with thoughts and emotions that crash over Ethan like a tidal wave. Gratitude, relief, and an overwhelming sense of homecoming. As the mental connection fades, leaving Ethan breathless and shaking, he realizes that everything he thought he knew about his life, about this lighthouse, about the very nature of reality itself, has been irreversibly changed. The Black Rock Lighthouse is more than just a guide for ships lost in the night. It's a bridge between worlds, a beacon for beings beyond human comprehension. And Ethan Blackwood, isolated and alone for so long, now finds himself the unwitting gatekeeper between Earth and something else. As the creature sinks back beneath the waves, leaving nothing but churning foam in its wake, Ethan knows that this is only the beginning. More will come, drawn by the light he tends, and he'll have to decide whether to keep the beacon burning or plunge this part of the ocean into darkness once more. But for now, as the storm clouds gather and lightning flashes on the horizon, Ethan Blackwood stands watch. His eyes scan the turbulent waters, searching for any sign of the otherworldly visitor's return. And for the first time in years, he feels the stirring of something he'd thought long dead: hope. As dawn breaks over the Black Rock Lighthouse, Ethan Blackwood's world has been irrevocably altered. The events of the previous night replay in his mind, each impossible detail etched into his memory with stark clarity. The humming lens, the alien visions, the massive creature rising from the depths, it all seems like a fever dream. But Ethan knows better. The salt-crusted windows of the lantern room still bear the faint imprints of countless suction cups, a tangible reminder of the otherworldly visitor. Ethan paces the cramped confines of the lighthouse, his thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. What does it all mean? Why here? Why now? And most importantly, what is he supposed to do about it? His eyes keep drifting to Lydia's photo, her enigmatic smile now seeming to hold countless secrets. "You knew, didn't you?" he whispers, tracing her face with a trembling finger. "All those years, you were trying to tell me." A wave of guilt washes over him. How many times had he dismissed Lydia's ramblings about ancient sea gods and underwater civilizations as the product of an overactive imagination? How often had he gently steered her away from her obsessive research, worried about her mental state? "I'm sorry," he chokes out, tears stinging his eyes. "I should have listened." As if in response to his anguish, a distant rumble echoes across the water. Ethan rushes to the window, heart pounding. But the sea remains calm, betraying no sign of last night's impossible visitor. Days pass, each one a tense mixture of anticipation and dread. Ethan finds himself spending more and more time in the lantern room, watching the waters with an almost manic intensity. He pores over Lydia's old journals, deciphering her cryptic notes with newfound understanding. The symbols she'd meticulously copied, the same ones he'd seen swirling in the Fresnel lens, begin to make a twisted kind of sense. They speak of ancient pacts, of doors between worlds, of guardians charged with maintaining the balance. And always, always, they come back to the light. "The beacon must burn," Ethan mutters, reading Lydia's fevered scrawl. "For if it dims, they will come seeking." But who are they? And what exactly is Ethan keeping at bay with his nightly illumination? As he delves deeper into Lydia's research, strange occurrences become more frequent. Objects move when his back is turned, whispers echo through empty rooms. And sometimes, in the corner of his eye, Ethan swears he sees a familiar silhouette. But when he turns, there's nothing but shadows. One stormy afternoon, as Ethan huddles in the kitchen nursing a cup of bitter coffee, a crackling voice breaks through the static of his ancient radio. "Black Rock Lighthouse, this is the research vessel Nautilus. Do you copy?" Ethan nearly drops his mug in surprise. It's been weeks since he's heard another human voice. He fumbles for the receiver, clearing his throat before responding. "This is Black Rock. I copy, Nautilus. What's your situation?" "We're about 10 nautical miles from your position," the voice replies. requesting permission to dock and conduct some marine biology surveys in your area. Over. Ethan hesitates. The idea of company both thrills and terrifies him. What if they discover what's really happening here? But then again, maybe an outsider's perspective is exactly what he needs. Permission granted, Nautilus, he finally responds. I'll prepare the dock. As he makes his way down to the small, weather-beaten pier, Ethan's mind races. Should he tell them about what he's seen? Would they even believe him? Or would they simply write him off as a madman, isolated for too long, with nothing but his grief for company? The Nautilus appears through the mist, a sleek research vessel that seems almost comically modern against the backdrop of the ancient lighthouse. As it draws closer, Ethan can make out a solitary figure standing at the bow. A woman, her dark hair whipping in the wind, watching the approaching island with an intensity that makes him shiver. When the ship finally docks, the woman is the first to disembark. She moves with a fluid grace that seems at odds with the choppy waves lapping at the pier. As she approaches, Ethan is struck by her eyes, a deep, penetrating gaze that seems to look right through him. Mr. Blackwood, she asks, extending a hand. I'm Dr. Maya Chen. Thank you for allowing us to conduct our research here. Ethan shakes her hand, noting the surprising strength in her grip. Welcome to Black Rock, he manages, his voice rough from disuse. It's not much, but it's home. Dr. Chen smiles, but it doesn't quite reach her eyes. Oh, I think you'll find this place is far more interesting than you give it credit for. There's something in her tone, a hint of hidden knowledge, that sets Ethan's nerves on edge. As he helps the research team unload their equipment, he can't shake the feeling that Dr. Chen knows far more about Black Rock's secrets than she's letting on. Over the next few days, Ethan finds himself drawn into the world of the researchers. Their presence breathes life into the lonely island, filling the air with the buzz of scientific jargon and the hum of sophisticated equipment. Dr. Chen, in particular, seems to be everywhere at once, asking probing questions about the lighthouse's history and the surrounding waters. Have you ever noticed anything unusual in the area? She asks one evening, as they stand atop the lighthouse watching the sun dip below the horizon. Unexplained phenomena? Strange sightings? Ethan's heart races. This is his chance to unburden himself, to share the impossible truth of what he's witnessed. But as he opens his mouth to speak, a chill runs down his spine. In the fading light, Dr. Chen's eyes seem to shimmer with an otherworldly gleam. No, he stammers, the lie bitter on his tongue. Nothing out of the ordinary. Dr. Chen holds his gaze for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she smiles, all warmth and professionalism once more. Of course. Well, if you do notice anything, please let me know. Even the smallest detail could be crucial to our research. As she turns to leave, Ethan catches a glimpse of something tucked into her jacket pocket. A small, leather-bound journal, its cover adorned with familiar symbols. Symbols he's seen in Lydia's notes. Symbols that swirled in the Fresnel lens on that fateful night. Suddenly, Dr. Chen's arrival doesn't seem like mere coincidence. Who is she really? And what does she know about the secrets lurking beneath Black Rock's waters? That night, as Ethan makes his way up to light the beacon, he feels the weight of unseen eyes upon him. The air thrums with an electric tension, as if the very atmosphere is holding its breath in anticipation. As he reaches for the switch, a sound stops him cold, a voice, Lydia's voice, whispering from the shadows. Don't trust her, Ethan. The light must burn, no matter what. Ethan whirls around, heart pounding. But the lantern room is empty, save for the ever-present photo of Lydia smiling down at him. Yet as he stares at the image, he could swear her expression has changed. No longer serene and loving, but urgent, warning. With trembling hands, Ethan lights the beacon. Its powerful beam cuts through the gathering darkness, sweeping across the churning waters below. And there, just for a moment, he sees it. A massive shape, moving beneath the waves. Watching. Waiting. The game of cat and mouse intensifies over the following weeks. Dr. Chen and her team scour the island and its surrounding waters, their equipment picking up readings that send them into barely contained excitement. Ethan, meanwhile, does his best to misdirect their efforts, all while maintaining his nightly vigil at the beacon. But he can feel his grip on the situation slipping. The occurrences grow stranger, more frequent. One night, he wakes to find the lighthouse floor covered in a thin film of seawater, despite all doors and windows being tightly sealed. Another day, all the clocks on the island suddenly run backwards for precisely 13 minutes before returning to normal. And always, there's the sense of something vast and ancient stirring in the depths, calling to him, waiting for him to lower his guard. The breaking point comes on a moonless night as a storm of biblical proportions lashes the island. Ethan races up the lighthouse steps, knowing that tonight, of all nights, the beacon must shine. But as he reaches the lantern room, he finds Dr. Chen already there, her hand hovering over the light's controls. "I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood," she says, her voice barely audible over the howling wind, "but I can't let you turn it on. Not tonight." Ethan's blood runs cold. "You don't understand," he pleads. "If the light goes out, something terrible will happen. Something will come." "I know exactly what will come," Dr. Chen interrupts, her eyes flashing with an inhuman light. "And it's time. Time for the old barriers to fall. Time for worlds to collide." As if in response to her words, a sound rises from the churning sea below, a sound that vibrates in Ethan's bones and sets his teeth on edge. The cry of something ancient, something hungry. "Please," Ethan begs, taking a step towards Dr. Chen, "don't do this." But as he moves, the air around Dr. Chen seems to ripple and distort. Her form blurs, shifting into something that defies description, something that Ethan realizes with a jolt of horror is not entirely human. The age of man is ending, the thing that was Dr. Chen hisses, its voice a cacophony of impossible sounds. The deep ones rise, and you, Ethan Blackwood, will bear witness to the dawning of a new era. As Ethan watches in paralyzed terror, the creature lunges for the beacon's controls. In that moment, time seems to slow. Ethan sees everything with crystal clarity, the rain lashing against the windows, the swirling patterns in the Fresnel lens, the inhuman appendages reaching for the switch that will plunge the world into darkness. And then, cutting through it all, a voice. Lydia's voice. No longer a whisper, but a defiant shout. "Now, Ethan, remember what I taught you." Ethan's body moves on pure instinct. His hand plunges into his pocket, fingers closing around the small, smooth stone Lydia had given him years ago. A stone covered in the same arcane symbols he's seen repeated throughout this ordeal. As the creature's claws brush the beacon's controls, Ethan thrusts the stone forward. The symbols flare to life, burning with an inner fire that pushes back the encroaching darkness. The thing that was Dr. Chen recoils, its form twisting in agony. "No," it shrieks, its voice a symphony of anguish. "We were so close." Ethan doesn't hesitate. With his free hand, he slams the switch, flooding the night with the beacon's powerful beam. The creature howls, its form dissolving like mist in sunlight. In moments, it's gone, leaving nothing but the lingering scent of brine and decay. Gasping for breath, Ethan collapses against the railing. The storm rages on outside, but within the lantern room, an unearthly calm descends. As his racing heart begins to slow, Ethan becomes aware of a presence beside him, a familiar presence. He turns, hardly daring to believe, and there she is. Lydia, not as she was in life, but shimmering and translucent, like a reflection in water. Her smile is sad but proud as she reaches out a spectral hand to caress his cheek. "You did it," she whispers, her voice echoing as if from a great distance. "You kept the light burning." "Lydia," Ethan chokes out, tears streaming down his face. "I don't understand. How are you here? What's happening?" Her form flickers, growing fainter by the second. "There's so much I need to tell you, my love. About the lighthouse, about the bargain made long ago, about your role in all of this." She glances out at the turbulent sea, her expression growing urgent. "But there's no time. They'll try again, Ethan. The deep ones, they're agents. They'll never stop trying to extinguish the light." "Then what am I supposed to do?" Ethan asks, desperation creeping into his voice. Lydia's form is barely visible now, little more than a whisper of mist, but her voice rings clear in Ethan's mind as she delivers her final message. "Keep the light burning, Ethan. No matter what comes, for in that light lies the only hope for both our worlds." And then she's gone, leaving Ethan alone once more in the lantern room. But as he turns back to the Fresnel lens, watching its powerful beam sweep across the churning waters, he realizes that he's not truly alone. He's part of something far greater, a cosmic dance between light and darkness, order and chaos. As the storm begins to subside, Ethan Blackwood stands watch, his resolve hardened by the night's revelations. Whatever comes next, whatever horrors may rise from the depths, he'll be ready. For he is the keeper of the light, the guardian of the threshold, and the beacon must burn, always. The weeks following Dr. Chen's terrifying transformation and disappearance pass in a blur of heightened vigilance and sleepless nights. Ethan, now fully aware of the cosmic importance of his role, maintains a constant watch over the lighthouse and its surroundings. The weight of his responsibility is immense, but the memory of Lydia's ghostly visit and her urgent warning keep him focused. As autumn gives way to a harsh winter, the island becomes increasingly isolated. Fierce storms batter the lighthouse, and communication with the mainland grows sporadic. Ethan finds himself alone with his thoughts, the ever-present hum of the Fresnel lens, and the growing certainty that something monumental is about to occur. One particularly brutal night, as howling winds threaten to shake the very foundations of the lighthouse, Ethan makes a chilling discovery. Carved into the basement walls, hidden behind years of grime and salt deposits, he uncovers a vast mural. Its intricate designs mirror the symbols from Lydia's journals, but on a scale that takes his breath away. As he traces the patterns with trembling fingers, the mural begins to glow with an otherworldly light. Suddenly, Ethan's mind is flooded with visions. Ancient mariners constructing the lighthouse, guided by beings of light and shadow. A great battle beneath the waves, with monstrous shapes clashing against barriers of pure energy. Lydia, her eyes alight with secret knowledge, speaking to something in the depths. Gasping, Ethan stumbles back. The visions fade, but their impact lingers. He now understands that the lighthouse is more than just a beacon. It's a linchpin, holding together the very fabric of reality in this part of the world. As if sensing this revelation, the sea beyond the island begins to churn with unnatural fury. Massive waves crash against the rocks, and the sky turns an ominous, bruised purple. Ethan races to the lantern room, his heart pounding in his chest. What he sees from the top of the lighthouse nearly stops his heart. The horizon is alive with movement. Countless shapes, some as large as ships, others defying description, are converging on the island. The air itself seems to warp and twist, as if the boundary between worlds is stretching to its breaking point. "No," Ethan whispers, his voice barely audible over the cacophony outside. "Not now. Not yet." He lunges for the beacon controls, but as his hand touches the switch, a searing pain shoots through his arm. The metal is ice cold, covered in a layer of frost that shouldn't be possible in the heated room. A low, rumbling laugh echoes through the lantern room. Ethan whirls around to find a figure standing in the doorway, a figure that is both familiar and utterly alien. "Did you really think it would be that easy, Keeper?" Dr. Chen's voice emanates from the creature, but her form is a nightmarish blend of human and something else. Tentacles writhe where her lower body should be, and her eyes glow with an eldritch light. "You!" Ethan gasps, backing away. "But you thought you'd banished me? The thing that was once Dr. Mennerlistreck." Chen laughs again, the sound sending shivers down Ethan's spine. "Oh, you poor naive soul, I am but one of many, and tonight we rise." With inhuman speed, the creature lunges forward, pinning Ethan against the railing. Its grip is like iron, cold and unyielding. "Watch," it hisses, forcing Ethan to look out over the turbulent sea. "Watch as your precious barrier falls, and the true masters of this world reclaim what is rightfully theirs." The sky splits open with a thunderous crack, and from the wound in reality pour creatures beyond imagination. Vast, tentacled monstrosities, beings of pure energy, things that hurt the mind to look upon directly. Ethan struggles against his captor, but it's no use. He can only watch in horror as the invading forces draw ever closer to the island. But then, just as all seems lost, a familiar warmth spreads through Ethan's body. The stone in his pocket, the one Lydia gave him, begins to pulse with energy, and with it comes her voice, clear as day. "Remember, Ethan, the light is more than just the beacon. It's inside you. It always has been." Understanding floods through him. With a surge of strength he didn't know he possessed, Ethan breaks free from the creature's grasp. Before it can react, he places his hand on the Fresnel lens. "No!" The thing that was Dr. Chen shrieks, but it's too late. Ethan feels the power of the lighthouse, of generations of keepers, of the very light itself, flow through him. His body becomes a conduit, channeling pure, radiant energy. The beam that erupts from the lighthouse is like nothing ever seen before. It pierces the storm clouds, pushes back the encroaching darkness, and sends the invading horrors reeling in agony. The creature that was Dr. Chen writhes in pain, its form melting like wax under the intense light. "This isn't over," it wails as it dissolves into nothingness. "We will return, we will." But its final threats are drowned out by a new sound. A song, beautiful and terrible, rising from the depths of the ocean. Ethan watches in awe as massive shapes emerge from the waves. But these are not the nightmarish invaders from before. These beings glow with an inner light that matches the beacon. Guardians, Ethan realizes, allies in the eternal struggle against the darkness. As the Guardians engage the remaining invaders, driving them back beyond the veil of reality, Ethan maintains his connection to the lighthouse. Hours pass in a blur of light and sound, the battle raging on a scale beyond human comprehension. Finally, as dawn breaks on the horizon, silence falls. The storm dissipates, leaving behind a sea as calm as glass. The Guardians, their task complete, sink back beneath the waves with one final haunting melody. Ethan collapses to the floor of the lantern room, every nerve in his body screaming from the strain of channeling such power. But as he struggles to catch his breath, a shimmer of light coalesces before him. Lydia stands there, more solid and real than in her previous spectral visit. Her smile is radiant with pride and love. "You did it, Ethan," she says, kneeling beside him. "You kept the light burning when it mattered most." "Lydia," Ethan croaks, reaching out to her. To his amazement, his hand doesn't pass through her form. "I don't understand. How are you here? What happens now?" Lydia takes his hand in hers, her touch warm and impossibly real. "The barrier between worlds is thin here, my love, and in moments like this, when the light shines at its brightest, I can cross over." She helps Ethan to his feet, supporting him as they look out over the now peaceful sea. "As for what happens now, that's up to you." "What do you mean?" Ethan asks, his mind reeling from everything that's transpired. Lydia's expression grows serious. "The forces of darkness will never stop trying to extinguish the light, Ethan. They'll regroup, grow stronger, and return. The lighthouse will always need a keeper." She squeezes his hand. "But you've proven yourself worthy of so much more. If you choose, you could join me. Become more than just a mortal guardian. Help maintain the balance on a cosmic scale." Ethan's heart races at the implication. To be with Lydia again, to understand the true nature of reality, to fight against the encroaching darkness on a level he never thought possible. But as he looks back at the lighthouse, at the worn steps and familiar rooms that have been his home for so long, he hesitates. "What about the lighthouse?" he asks. "Who will keep the light burning if I'm gone?" Lydia smiles, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Did you really think you were the only potential keeper in the world, my love? There are others out there, drawn to places like this, sensing their importance even if they don't fully understand why. If you choose to leave, I promise you, a new keeper will find their way here." Ethan takes a deep breath, looking out at the horizon where the sun is rising, painting the sky in brilliant golds and pinks. The choice before him is monumental, with consequences that stretch far beyond his own life. He begins, his voice thick with emotion. But before he can continue, a flash of movement catches his eye. Far below, at the base of the lighthouse, a small boat is approaching the island. Its sole occupant, a young woman with determination etched on her face, guides the vessel skillfully through the rocks. Ethan turns to Lydia, a question in his eyes. She nods, confirming his suspicion. "It seems the next keeper has arrived sooner than expected," she says softly. "It's time to decide, Ethan. Will you pass on the mantle and join me in the greater fight? Or will you remain here, guarding this single point of light against the darkness?" As the young woman's boat touches the shore, Ethan Blackwood stands at the threshold between two worlds, the weight of his decision hanging in the balance. The fate of the lighthouse, and perhaps much more, rests in his hands. Ethan Blackwood stands atop the Black Rock Lighthouse, his weathered hands resting on the railing as he watches the young woman disembark from her boat. The morning sun bathes the scene in a golden glow, a stark contrast to the cosmic battle that raged just hours before. He feels Lydia's presence beside him, patient and loving, awaiting his decision. With a deep breath, Ethan turns to his spectral wife, his eyes filled with a mixture of love, regret, and resolute determination. "Lydia," he says, his voice quiet but firm, "I can't leave. Not yet." A bittersweet smile plays across Lydia's luminous features. "I understand," she whispers, reaching out to caress his cheek. "You were always the steadfast one, my love." Ethan leans into her touch, savoring what he knows may be their final moment together. "There's still so much to do here," he explains. "This new keeper, she'll need guidance. The knowledge we've gained, the secrets of this place, they can't be lost. I have to ensure the transition is smooth, that the light never falters." Lydia nods, her form already beginning to fade as the sun climbs higher in the sky. "You're right, of course. The lighthouse has chosen wisely in you, Ethan Blackwood. Know that I'll be watching over you, over all of you, from beyond the veil." As she disappears entirely, her final words echo in Ethan's mind. "Remember, the light is within you, always." Squaring his shoulders, Ethan makes his way down the spiral staircase. Each step feels lighter now, infused with renewed purpose. He may have chosen to remain a mortal guardian, but he does so with the knowledge and power gained from his cosmic awakening. As he opens the lighthouse door, he comes face to face with the young woman. She's in her late 20s, with sharp, intelligent eyes and an air of barely contained excitement. Upon seeing Ethan, she straightens up, extending her hand. "Mr. Blackwood, I'm Zoe Reeves. I know this might sound strange, but I feel like I was meant to come here. Like this place has been calling to me my entire life." Ethan smiles, clasping her hand firmly. "Ms. Reeves, you have no idea how right you are. Come inside. We have a lot to discuss." Over the next few weeks, Ethan becomes a mentor to Zoe, sharing the true history of the lighthouse and the vital role it plays in maintaining the balance between worlds. He teaches her the rituals, the symbols, and the importance of keeping the light burning, no matter what. Zoe proves to be an apt pupil, her natural curiosity and quick mind absorbing the esoteric knowledge like a sponge. She takes to the keeper's duties with a passion that reminds Ethan of his younger self. As autumn fades into winter once more, Ethan knows his time at Blackrock is coming to an end. He's done all he can to prepare Zoe for the challenges that lie ahead. On his final night in the lighthouse, he makes his way to the lantern room one last time. As the powerful beam sweeps across the dark waters, Ethan places his hand on the Fresnel lens. He feels the familiar warmth, the connection to something greater than himself. But this time, he also senses Zoe's presence in the energy, her dedication and strength joining with generations of keepers past. "The light will burn," Ethan murmurs, a quiet prayer and a solemn vow. No matter what comes, the light will burn. The next morning, as Zoe helps him load the last of his belongings onto the boat that will take him to the mainland, Ethan feels a profound sense of peace. He's not abandoning his post, but passing on a sacred duty to capable hands. "Remember," he tells Zoe as he prepares to cast off, "you're never truly alone here. The lighthouse, the light itself, they're alive in ways we're only beginning to understand. Trust in that connection, and you'll find the strength to face whatever comes." Zoe nods, her eyes shining with unshed tears and fierce determination. "I won't let you down, Mr. Blackwood. I won't let any of us down." As Ethan's boat pulls away from Blackrock Island, he looks back at the lighthouse standing tall against the sky. For a moment, he swears he sees a familiar silhouette in the lantern room window. Lydia, watching over the new guardian as she once watched over him. Ethan Blackwood may be leaving Blackrock, but he knows his journey is far from over. Armed with the knowledge and power he's gained, he sets out into the world, ready to seek out other places where the veil between worlds grows thin. He'll be a roving guardian, a keeper without a lighthouse, ensuring that the light of understanding and protection burns bright in forgotten corners of the earth. And on dark nights, when the wind howls and the seas churn with otherworldly menace, Ethan knows that the Blackrock Lighthouse will stand firm. Its beacon will pierce the darkness, a signal to both worlds that the ancient pact is upheld, that the balance remains. For as long as there are those willing to keep watch, to tend the flame of hope against the encroaching shadows, the light will burn, always. Dear viewer, you've just witnessed a tale of cosmic horror, ancient pacts, and the enduring power of human determination. But the story doesn't end here. Oh no, it's just the beginning. Imagine for a moment that you are Zoe Reeves, standing atop that windswept island, the weight of worlds resting upon your shoulders. What secrets will you uncover in the depths of the Black Rock Lighthouse? What eldritch horrors might you face on those long, dark nights when the barrier between realities grows thin? The answers to these questions, dear viewer, lie within your imagination. This story, this world, is now yours to explore, to expand upon, to make your own. But why keep such wonders to yourself? If this tale has ignited a spark of creativity within you, if it has left you hungry for more cosmic mysteries and lighthouse lore, then I implore you, share it. Spread the word like a beacon, cutting through the fog of mundane existence. Subscribe to this channel, for it is a lighthouse of its own, guiding you to shores of imagination yet unexplored. By subscribing, you're not just supporting a content creator, you're joining a community of dreamers, of seekers, of those who dare to peer beyond the veil of ordinary reality. And don't stop there. Share this video with friends, with family, with anyone who has ever gazed out at a stormy sea and wondered what secrets lie beneath those turbulent waves. For in sharing stories, we create connections, we build our own networks of light, pushing back against the darkness of isolation and misunderstanding. Remember, in this vast and often bewildering universe, we are all keepers of the light in our own way. By coming together, by sharing our stories and our passions, we create a beacon so bright that no cosmic horror can hope to extinguish it. So, what are you waiting for? The lighthouse beckons. The light burns bright. Will you answer the call? Subscribe now, share with abandon, and let your own light shine for all to see. The next chapter of this cosmic tale awaits, and you hold the pen. Until next time, keep watching the horizon. You never know what wonders or terrors might emerge from the depths.